Trae Stanley.
What up, Ben?
What's up, man? I'm excited to do this with you. I'm hoping that maybe I find out something I didn't know about you before. It's my goal.
You might, but I'm pretty much an open book. So,
well, look, this is kind of, we'll do a series of these. I haven't really fleshed out a name for this, like, the employee spotlight series. So, we'll see how this one runs, and we'll learn a little bit about each other. That'll be nice.
I love it.
Yeah. Let's, obviously, I want to start off real quick with just where you've been, how you got here. Give me your 60-second, your career arc, education, kind of how you ended up where you are today.
Yeah, for sure. I'm from Austin, Texas. It's where I went to high school. I actually went to high school with Brandon, who's on the team that people probably know.
Producer, yeah.
Yeah. He is the same age as me, but somehow I'm 2 grades ahead of him.
Well, he's
I don't know what that says about either of us.
I don't know.
And so in high school, I was super interested in journalism, telling stories. And when I met Brandon, I actually got more interested in shooting video.
Oh.
And so we shot a short film in high school called The Lawnmowers. And George W. Bush, former president, made a cameo. And I was like, man, making videos is pretty fun. You get to hang out with awesome people. And I went to film school and
UT?
At UT for 4 years, did all the stuff. Probably didn't try as hard as I could have.
None
you don't do that.
No.
And then
not in this field. No. That's why
I shot a couple films on film, had to transfer it, got a job or an internship, which was unpaid at the time. Those were rampant.
Yeah.
With a company that no longer exists called Match Frame.
Oh, I totally remember them. I didn't know you worked there.
Yeah. So I was just a dude who painted walls and swept floors.
Yeah, great.
And then I got a job making tape transfers. I ended up getting 4 of my friends from film school hired there so we could hang out and have a good time.
Mm.
And then I got promoted to be an assistant colorist.
Mm.
So, and then
I feel like we might be underutilizing your talents now that I hear all this.
I always get hired to do stuff. I don't know how talented I am. And then I went to go work with our friend Nick Dowdy before he became a celebrated cider maker.
Yeah.
He was working for a PBS children's television show.
Didn't know that either.
And so I was an editor and a producer for them.
Gosh.
And then traveled around the world, shot a small documentary about walking the Camino de Santiago. My wife and I moved to Houston. She became a teacher, and I think I really found myself in Houston because I started working for a religious broadcaster that didn't focus so much on the religious part, but really focused on the broadcasting part, and they just gave us a lot of projects and a lot of free space and a lot of time and a lot of budget to learn how to be video production specialists.
Yeah, great gear, unlimited budget.
All the time we wanted.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah, it was great. And I worked there for 11 years. I went from being an editor to an internal producer, was working with all the different ministries inside of the church. And then I started working for the television show that they produced. Mm. I started producing the segments that would show in service and the live segments that would happen in service. And then I eventually became the broadcast director.
And you traveled a lot with that job too, right? I mean, you guys would
all the time. We would do these huge stadium shows. Yeah. We would do one a month. We'd be all of the basketball arenas in the U.S. I've pretty much been to.
Yeah.
A lot of the baseball fields because the person would have these big events at baseball fields once or twice a year.
Gosh.
So I've gotten to be in Yankee Stadium on the on second base. It's great. Yeah.
It's an insane amount of experience to amass and to be pretty early in your career. That's a lot of stuff. That's a lot of stuff. And the stuff working with the church, I think, is, to me, that's such a unique experience people, the typical kind of comeuppance, like when you're working your way up, it's like you work for a TV station, you intern somewhere, you get to work on something, like you were drinking from the fire hose. And for me, was one of the most exciting things about bringing you on, because the experience that you had, being able to translate that to clients at a, not such a massive scale is a pretty big benefit to those people. And so,
yeah, for sure.
I don't want to inflate your ego too much, but like it's pretty cool,
Well, I feel like we're able to really help, people who don't shoot video every day have a hard time sometimes like crafting the message they want to tell about themselves vocalizing it. And that's one thing that we're able to really help them with all the time.
Right.
We can hear them be like, oh, we've done this before. I think that what you're trying to say sounds more like this. And I'm always like, oh, yeah, that's way better than what I was saying.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Speaking of executive producers, Brandon, I'm just going to put him on mute. He can wait.
Great.
He doesn't know we're busy. Well, to do this, I know that I want to know, like, in all that time that you shot all kinds of stuff and all the things that you put together, tell me about like I want to hear the coolest, craziest job you worked on. Just briefly, what's the just most out there thing you feel like you've done?
Well, one of the other cool things about working there was that I ended up being my cohort of people that I worked with have gone on to do some really cool things.
Yeah.
So I have a friend who shoots live music videos now, who started at the church, but he does live music videos for all kinds of artists. He's the Weeknd's video director, essentially.
Oh, wow.
And so I've been able to go out with him a couple times and do these like crazy shows, really intimate live shows. So like I was hanging out with Billie Eilish one time.
Yeah.
I was hanging out with one of the members of, like not Harry Styles, but one of the other guys from that boy band.
I thought you were going to say the Backstreet Boys. I was going to
One Direction. I've also shot a video with the Backstreet Boys where they talked about their addictions with him.
Great.
So like, it was crazy. We were like outfitting a abandoned floor of a building in Times Square with all these like broken TVs, plugging them in. Just, so I was like, this is pretty cool. And then the other thing is just working at the church. Like one time I got to hop on a helicopter, fly from New Jersey up the Hudson River, shooting video, circle around Yankee Stadium 3 or 4 times, come back around. I got to go around the Empire State Building and the Statue of Liberty. And it was just like so peaceful.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It was like the most amazing helicopter trip. I mean, it's the only helicopter trip I've ever been on, but
yeah. Which now they would just hire a drone op and he would just run it up and do that real quick, and you probably wouldn't even shoot that anymore. So
yeah, the next year I was shooting drone for the same product.
Those are the Brandon has a really funny story about they were shooting like some skiers on Lake Austin, and he was on, some Canon body, and he had a real long lens on, and he went to hang over the side of the boat, and the lens caught the water and just sucked the whole camera underwater. And he went and borrowed a dive suit the next day and came back and was like diving for media and trying to get the stuff. And I'm like, now you would just do all that with drones. Nobody is getting out on boats and hanging over the side or in helicopters shooting stuff. It just doesn't happen.
No way. Yeah.
So it's crazy. Well, look, tell me, I want to know, in this new position, kind of what you've done all this crazy stuff. You've shot, obviously I'm not as cool as The Weeknd, or are most of, the stuff we do, but like what excites you about what we're doing now? What excites you about being in this position? What excites you about being an executive producer and working with the clients that we work with and the things that we're doing now?
Yeah. Well, so I really love working with sort of the ecosystem that's developing in Austin and Houston, this startup ecosystem that isn't like software based, it's hard tech based.
Right.
And I feel like you can very tangibly see the ways in which these companies are making the world like a better place and a more, energy secure place, better medical devices place, just like all these benefits.
Yeah.
And I think that's just a really unique set of clients that we get to work with. And so I
getting
just
to tell
love
those stories is awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I just love it. I'm like, this is amazing, because not many other places except along the Gulf Coast in the United States have the manufacturing capabilities to do this.
Right.
So we just kind of live in a cool place.
That's cool. And I feel like we've really developed a fairly unique skill set throughout our group to handle so many facets of that story, right? Whether it's a brand video, whether it's a, standard communication, whether it's some sort of continuing ed, whether it's studio produced, the fact that whether it's remote produced or like fully virtual or these hybrid, like we're able to do all of those now, and we're not just some dudes with a camera or some dudes with a studio or some dudes with a laptop. We're dudes with all that stuff. And it's pretty cool to be able to fit in where you're needed. I like that.
Well, and what I really love too is we're able to help these companies tell their stories in that way, in a way that's appropriate for them.
Right.
Because,
not
I feel
shoehorning them into something.
Yeah, a lot of times I felt like before it'd be like, well, this is how we have to shoot it. There's only one way.
Yeah.
But now you can be like, hey, I understand you don't have that big of a budget, but we can still do something cool.
Yeah.
We can do something like this on Riverside, and we can edit in cool B-roll, and we can make a really cool story.
Right.
I can show up with a camera. We can show up with 15 cameras.
Yeah. We
can do a live broadcast. We can do an event.
Yeah.
There's just kind of unlimited the ways that people can tell their stories. And the other thing is, I feel like video has kind of become such an essential part of our the way that we show people that we're trustworthy.
Sure.
So like they'll go to
that credibility factor.
Yes, 100%. They'll go to social media pages. They'll go to your website, and so much of their first impression and their initial trust is just based on like what they see.
Right.
If you have a bunch of videos on LinkedIn and they're like, oh, okay, well, you actually do stuff.
Right.
I can trust you. I believe that you actually could have solutions that would work for me.
Right. I agree. And I think that has been a big shift, in the last half decade, the last 5 years, the accessibility at which people can do that now. It doesn't have to be $100,000 budget for a 30-second sizzle. You can actually come out and shoot some stuff and make it happen. You can do hourly stuff in the studio. You can, all those things, and remaining relevant, building up your reputation and leaning on that credibility is huge. And I'm with you 100%. That's why I'm in this. I love that. And I love to see people get excited about being able to do that.
That's great.
Yeah. Talk to me a little bit about, especially now in this role where you're kind of out front and center and you're, bringing these gigs in and then staffing them and doing it. What approach do you take with like a new project or a new client? How do you broach, the video world with them? How do you talk them through a project?
Yeah, the discovery process is really important, I think, for any creative project. And so just getting to spend a little bit of time with the client, going over what they want to do, what their vision for this project would be, and then maybe helping them see assets and like different ways that they can showcase their products or their ideas that they hadn't even thought of.
Right.
And so just kind of going through there so that we can get an outline of the project. And then from there, it's the more technical part. It's like, then we can work with them like, okay, let's develop the script. Let's do pre-production. Sure. Let's staff out production. Now what's our post-production timeline?
Right.
But that first initial part is so important because that's, sort of like the compass for where we're going to go in the future.
Yeah. And showing them the value and the additional value they can get from a project, from a shoot, from, putting these things together without adding additional work onto them. That's what I'm always fearful of when we talk to people is you don't want to make them have to work too hard for it, but show them like, hey, man, a single day shoot, you have this 30-second burner that we need to do, but man, you can get your headshots done. You can get, marketing for 6 months done with just B-roll and with all this other stuff. And people don't realize that. They're like boxed in like, okay, here's the project, here's the budget, let's do that. And it's like, you can get so much more value out of that stuff, and walking them through that in that discovery process, you can unearth a lot of that stuff and show it to them. And it's an exciting thing to do.
Yeah. They get so excited. Yeah. And that, it's like one of those things where it's like, the way that you feel kind of like, oh, I have kids. So it's like, when it's their school picture day, they like get all dressed up and, they look cool.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what companies do with us. They're like, oh, you guys are showing up. And all of a sudden you go into a warehouse and everything's clean.
Yeah.
All the boxes are closed.
Hair and makeup's there. Yeah.
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 All the parts have been like miraculously shined.
Yeah.
Over. I don't. You're like, oh, that looks cool.
Yeah. It feels awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's
then
a cool
then just getting to showcase that energy for them later on. They're like, very rarely are people, they walk away and they're just like so amped up. They're like, oh my gosh, that was so awesome.
Yeah.
So that's fun too.
Look, man, when you can make continuing legal education, exciting and people get jacked about it, you're doing something right, man.
That's right. That's right.
I love it.
We can bring that joy.
You can bring the video joy to everyone. Well, talk to me. I mean, obviously with all the experience and all the things you've done and the things, that you've done with us prior to as being a contractor, now as full-time and being on the team as an executive, talk to me about some things that you really bring, that maybe I know I have a laundry list of things that you filled in the gaps for us, but I want to hear from you what you feel like you bring to the team. I
mean, first of all, just a good vibe. I feel like just another big dude with a beard that's always down to just make video happen. So I'm proud to be part of that team.
Yeah.
And but my skills, like I just have a pretty multifaceted set of skills, very video oriented.
Yeah.
I can shoot with all kinds of cameras, with gimbals, with drones, and that's something that you guys didn't really have. Full time, always there to go help out on projects. And then just like editing wise, I think that like I just have a lot of experience where I can put together stuff pretty quickly.
Yes.
That otherwise, clients might have had to wait a little bit for.
Yeah, that's changed the game for us. I mean, having you on board for that kind of stuff just the on-site daily stuff, not every client needs that, but the people that are really into it and trying to push dailies, having that available, used to, we'd have to set up a war room and have editors there and have workstations, and it was a whole thing. And now you running around shooting, editing stuff, and we're turning it into them, and they're blown away. That's a massive value add to any client, I think. Getting that stuff out there fast, showing them what's happening on the ground is huge.
Yeah, and it's so important. I mean, I feel like everything is always like on a faster pace.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of, it's like a double-edged sword. Like you kind of like, well, you don't have to necessarily show it the next day, but then everybody else is. So it's like, why wouldn't I too?
Yeah, dude, it should be fast. What are some of the things that you're hoping to achieve? Like what do you really hope that you're going to get out of this role?
I mean, I'm just really excited to help Audion grow as a company. Like I said, I really want to help us be known as sort of like the go-to communication specialist in this region. So, 5 years, people are like, oh, we want to do this thing.
Yeah.
Well, we better call up Audion.
Yeah.
That would be a dream come true, really.
Sure.
And, also my family is getting older. My kids keep coming around. Like they're trying to like take over my desk. They want my office.
Yeah.
So, if we open up an office in Houston, I would be pretty happy. So
you don't want to just be running out of the Ion in your house. You want to.
Yeah.
Are you telling me I need to sign a new lease?
Not yet, but maybe soon. And then I the other thing that like I'm just a people person. I love being around people.
Yeah.
So it'd be cool to have a couple of people in Houston for me to be able to like just say hi to every day.
Sure.
I don't do this job because I'm I'm an introvert.
A hermit.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're building a brand new studio in Austin and a whole
I know.
new facility.
I can't wait.
So let's get that done, and then we'll fast track the Houston studio. Maybe we'll have learned enough lessons from this build, and from just civil code in general that the next one will go a lot faster because this is a slow burn, man.
Well, I think if you build anything in Houston, it's a little bit easier than Austin. I've heard that we have no building codes.
Oh,
which I know that's not true, but.
Well, I can tell you some stories just about the past 3 months, but we're close. We'll have this thing open pretty quick. Cool. You're back.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I feel like we should leave some of this in so that people know, like, hey, man, things don't always work, even on our end. It's like sometimes stuff cuts off and you just keep going and you make it happen. But
I know. I'm going to have to get a better webcam.
I don't know. It looks good. It's weird. Some of the DJI stuff, sometimes I have some connectivity issues too, but I've been on this A7 forever, and I just leave everything hardwired. And
Well, I have a GH5 up here,
yeah.
but for some reason I'm running it into a cam link, and I won't see it.
Really?
So I don't.
Just
know
on Riverside?
Yeah.
Oh, that's strange. I don't know.
I know.
Regardless, okay. Let's just some closing thoughts here. Let's I want to leave people with maybe something they can take back to their staff or ruminate on a little bit here. But talk to me a little bit about current state of video production, the importance that it has overall in business and communication. You hinted a little bit to that. We talked about the immediacy of it. We talked about how important it is to put a face to these things and build that credibility. We talk about reputation a lot, consistency a lot, but where do you think things are going? What do you think is really important right now that people should be doing as pertains to video?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest difference right now is people just expect a lot of communication. The more of a fire hose you can create of letting people know, hey, this is what we're up to and this is what we're doing, the better. People are okay receiving mailing lists, being on mailing lists, or okay, following you on social media. And if you aren't posting and getting in front of them, then you're just kind of getting lost because everyone else is posting a lot. And I think that's the biggest thing that people have to realize is it doesn't work to make one video a year.
Right. It doesn't work to make one video a year, and it can't be crap. You just can't do crappy video anymore. The days of you just setting up a webcam or just shooting something on your iPhone, it gets, this is my deal with Canva and all this stuff. When you're talking about less than 6% of people in your algorithms that are subscribed to you in whatever platform, seeing your feed, and you're hiring somebody on Fiverr, or you're doing Canva, or you're doing whatever else, that stuff gets lost in the mix. And if it doesn't get lost in the mix and it's getting seen, it's getting glanced over because it just looks like everything else. And so
that's the problem, right? If it looks like everything else, if it doesn't actually express your brand or your company's authentic voice,
that's it.
People just slip right past it.
And it's everybody now I see at these conferences and events are well, this AI, man, and this there's all these platforms out there. Just get out there and start making content. It's man, maybe, but honestly, you're just putting more noise out there, and it's really tough it was already tough to get through that. Now it's even harder to get through it. But if you build that voice, if you work on creating that quality content, if you get that extra value from those single day shoots or multi-day shoots or virtual productions or whatever, man, that goes so much further. And the lift is just not that much to get it there. I mean, the time that people spend that don't know the software to learn the software and try to cut this stuff themselves versus hiring professionals to come out and do it and make it look really good is there's just not a huge delta there. And that's the biggest thing that I think we try to get across to clients and get them to understand. Like you said prior, you don't have to have a massive budget. What do you got? Let's figure something out.
Yeah, for sure.
Not everything.
Yeah, I think essentially people need to realize that you're not hiring a videographer anymore.
Right.
You're hiring a content creator. Right? Like in a certain sense, I mean, we're not social media people, but I will create content for you that tells a story, that lets people know who you are and how to latch onto you so that they can want to know more and more. And then eventually when your solution to a problem fits their need, they're going to be like, oh, that's who I need to call.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it.
Or DM or however.
Whatever the kids are doing these days. I don't know.
Yeah.
Trae, it's a pleasure, man. I love talking to you. I love having you on team. You are,
Thank you.
A massive asset to Audion, and we're lucky to have you. So
I'm lucky to be here.
Yeah. So thanks for taking the time today, buddy. This is good stuff. And we'll do more of these. We'll talk more,
Okay, cool.
Maybe me and you will put together a weekly riff sesh,
Let's just do it.
Really get it going. I'm sure this is what everybody
I'm ready. Anytime you want to talk, like I said, I'm an extrovert. I'm here. I'm here for it.
Forget the office. We're doing daily pods, bro.
Okay. My hidden talent is improv, which you guys make fun of me all the time, but it's what I do. Friday and Saturday nights, you can catch me at an improv theater in Houston.
Oh, there's the plug, guys. So there you go.
And, I'll do it with you. We can just riff to your heart's content.
Oh my God.
I will and yes you all the way till your eyes fall out.
I love it, dude. All right, buddy. Well, have a good rest of your day. Thanks for taking the time. And, man, I'll see you at our production meeting. All right. Later, man.
Bye.